Hi, it's Erica, and if you're anything like me, you know exactly what this is. You've seen it on pretty much every kitchen countertop in America. Your parents probably have it. You may have been gifted one for the holidays. It's a coffee maker. It's a one-button, easy coffee maker. Sure, it's not the top-of-the-line, state-of-the-art equipment, but it gets the job done, and with a couple simple hacks, I can teach you how to make a great cup of coffee on this guy. So, let's look at the components first. First off, we have a basket. And on this model specifically, there's a safety feature, this little plug on the bottom where it gets triggered with the carafe in to actually make the water run out. This is called a shower head, and the water spurts out of these holes over the coffee. In here, this is the water reservoir where you put all of the water in. And then these are the buttons that you hit to make it go. Boop. So I'm gonna make a cup of coffee on this, and we're gonna figure out the pain points within the system and then find the hacks to fix them. First things first, you wanna add a paper filter to your basket, but you wanna make sure that you get it wet to rinse out any papery taste. Next, you wanna grind your coffee. Make sure to shake your grinder for a little bit more uniformity out of these little beans. Then you add the coffee to the basket, making sure you get all of those little fines out because they like to stick to the chamber. Now, I like to give this a little shake so you can flatten the bed a little bit. Then you add your water, and I'm using 4 cups of water to 8 tablespoons of coffee. Close the lid, stick the carafe in, hit the button, and we're good to go. The way that the water heats up in the reservoir of the coffee maker, it just heats up and then goes through a series of tubes and spurts out over the coffee bed in random spurts. Now, I have the thermometer in here to see just how hot that coffee slurry is, and it looks like it's fluctuating between anywhere between 160 degrees Fahrenheit and 170. So there's inconsistency in the water temperature. Oh, it hit 180. That's good. It's better than 160. Sounds like it's getting towards the end. You can tell when it's done because it goes flat. Cool. It looks like the brew bed got up to a final temperature of 190, which is pretty cool. And there we have it, a cup of coffee. But because the brew bed and the water didn't reach that nice temperature of 195 to 205 that we wanted, I'm gonna guess that this is gonna taste a little under extracted, a little bit sour, maybe not super great. It's a little bit thin and it is a little bit sour. It feels like there should be more in there, that I should be getting a lot more flavor and maybe a little bit more of a punch, especially because I used a dark roast. My hack for making sure that your coffee extracts at a more appropriate temperature is something called the bloom. Pour out about half a cup of your total water volume and microwave it until it's boiling. Is this on? Plug in your microwave. Now, just prep the rest of your coffee exactly the way that you normally did, using every step. Settle the bed. You know, something I haven't mentioned yet is how big of a grind size you want to shoot for. So you're going all visual on the blade grinder, but you want it to look something like table salt, like a little bit between kosher salt and table salt. So not super fine, but not really chunky either, like a nice medium grind. Now that we have the water off boil, we want to give it just a little bit of time to cool down because again, we don't want to scorch the coffee. We just want to make sure that it all stays hot. A bloom is a specialty coffee term that refers to adding water to completely saturate a bed of coffee before the rest of the brewing starts. There's a bunch of different ways to bloom, and this is the way that I like to do it. Circular patterns all around the top. to make sure the brew bed is nice and saturated. And while that's brewing, add the rest of the water. And because this was already on, once you hear the reservoir start gurgling, add the carafe underneath to start the draining process. There we go. So what this does is it keeps more water in the reservoir, it keeps the entire brew bed hotter, and it helps that extraction stay more even. So you can see that it's already gotten up to 180 degrees, and it took almost a full minute for that to happen the last time. So it's not going to retain heat perfectly at that 200 degree sweet spot that we all know and love, but it gives it a leg up to make sure that the entire brewing process stays hotter than it did without it. Consistently at 190, a little bit better, hey, hey. And the last little bit of water is gurgling right at 200 degrees. So we gained about 10 to 20 degrees throughout the entire brewing process. And hopefully, fingers crossed, gives us a slightly more nuanced and delicious cup of coffee. Oh yeah. It's a bummer that you can't taste this. But you can do it at home. It's not only is it sweeter, it has a much more full mouthfeel, and this can definitely hold up to milk and sugar so much better. I definitely extracted way more coffee in this pot than I did the previous one. So the next time you see the Black & Decker, Mr. Coffee, or any of these one-touch machines at home, know that you too can make something that'll make you go, mmm. Also, caveat, not every machine is made the same exact way. This little safety plunger isn't gonna be on all of them. So please double check your devices and make sure that you know how it works before you start throwing water around and end up burning yourself. Because I don't want that. I really don't want that for you. If you have any tips, tricks, or hacks for your coffee machine at home, please comment them below. The more that we can all share this information, the better all of our coffee's gonna taste. See you later.